Welcome back to Chat Like a Native. Imagine a concert pianist who can look at a piece of complex sheet music and just, hear the entire symphony perfectly in their head. But the moment they sit down at the piano, their fingers just freeze. They totally fumble.
Oh, yeah. It's a complete physical disconnect.
Exactly. Knowing the music, but being physically unable to play it. And that frustrating feeling is exactly what's happening in your mouth when you try to speak English. You know the grammar, you have the vocabulary.
But your spoken English still feels stiff or slow or unnatural?
Right. It's incredibly frustrating. But today, you will learn how to overcome that exact feeling. By the end of this, you'll have a clear biomechanical system to sound smoother, clearer, and far more confident.
We're looking at something called the slow-fast loop.
Yeah, it's a specific shadowing method that trains your mouth and your brain to master the rhythm of English. And it completely flips the traditional approach because it prioritizes accuracy and clarity way before speed.
Which is a huge mental shift for most people.
Yeah, it really is. And to help you lock this method in, we have a punchy little mnemonic, SNC. It stands for slow copy, normal copy, confident repeat, SNC.
I love that. It's so easy to remember.
Right. But before we unpack that sequence, we need to ask why so many language learners hit a wall when it comes to speaking naturally. Like, why does the mouth physically freeze up even for advanced learners?
Well, it happens because language learning is usually treated entirely as like an academic exercise. You focus heavily on comprehension, you build up these massive mental databases of vocabulary and syntax.
Right, you're just storing data.
Exactly. But speaking isn't just a cognitive task. It's a highly complex motor skill. It requires the precise choreography of your jaw, your tongue, your lips, and your vocal cords.
So it's a physical workout, essentially.
It really is. When you try to speak a foreign language at full speed without training those specific muscles, your brain is sending high-speed commands.
Yeah.
But your articulators just haven't built the neural pathways to execute those movements yet.
Wow, so the muscles literally don't have the memory for the sounds, which exposes a massive trap that I see so many learners fall into. There's this persistent illusion that speaking fast equals speaking fluently.
Oh, yes. That is the biggest mistake learners make. They equate speed with fluency. So they take an audio clip of a native speaker talking at everyday speed.
Which is called shadowing, right? Like being a vocal mirror.
Right. They play the fast audio, attempt to repeat it instantly, and their unmapped facial muscles just completely misfire. They hit an immediate mechanical failure.
Because the mouth just can't jump from 0 to 60 like that. It reminds me of a musician trying to play a blazing fast guitar solo without ever practicing the chords slowly. You just can't do it.
Exactly. And because the learner thinks speed is the goal, they don't slow down. Instead, they try to force the speed by compromising on clarity. They start doing what we call swallowing their sounds.
I see this constantly. Let's say the target sentence is, what are you going to do? A native speaker running those words together might make it sound like, what you going to do?
Right, the sounds blend.
But the learner tries to hit that rhythm at full speed without understanding the mechanics. The tongue doesn't hit the palate right, the jaw doesn't open enough, and it just devolves into an unrecognizable mumbled blur.
Yeah, they drop entire syllables just to keep pace with the audio track. And the tragedy there is they assume they sound more advanced just because they're talking fast.
But no one can understand them.
Right. The acoustic clarity drops to near zero. Real fluency means clear, comfortable flow. It's not rushed panic.
Which really begs the question, if fast, unclear speech isn't fluency, what is? Like, what exactly should we be listening for when we practice?
Well, we have to shift the focus away from the velocity of the words. We should be listening for the musicality of the language.
The music of it.
Yeah, spoken English isn't a flat, robotic list of words. It has rhythm, it has stress, pauses, and movement. It possesses a distinct prosody.
Right, the prosody. And this explains why reading is so much easier than speaking, doesn't it? Because when you read a text, every word looks visually identical in importance.
Exactly. The word the takes up the same physical space on the page as the word revolution. But spoken English is a stress-timed language.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
It means highly fluent speakers don't give every word equal energy. The meaning-carrying words, the nouns, verbs, adjectives they pop, they get significantly more acoustic energy.
Right, they're louder and higher in pitch.
Uh-huh.
And the grammatical words, like prepositions or articles, they shrink down. They soften.
Yes. Going to becomes going to. If a learner tries to pronounce every single word with perfect dictionary clarity, they end up sounding incredibly robotic.
Even if their grammar is flawless. And trying to give equal energy to every word is physically exhausting for the speaker, isn't it?
Oh, it's exhausting for the speaker, and it's cognitively exhausting for the listener. The listener relies on those peaks and valleys of stress to identify the most important information.
Wow. So is this missing music the reason why someone can read a complex academic paper in English but completely struggle to order a coffee naturally?
Absolutely. The academic paper just requires visual decoding, but the coffee shop interaction requires you to process a sound shape that is constantly shifting and reducing.
And shadowing bridges that gap. It forces you to train with the sound shape,
Yeah.
feeling how the words actually move in the mouth.
Exactly. You physically experience where the speaker places the heavy beats.
So that brings us to the actual SNC method, the system to capture that music.
Yeah.
Let's unpack the SNC loop. Step one is the S, the slow copy. How does that work?
Well, you use a very short clip, like just one sentence, and you slow the playback speed way down. Your goal here is pure detail, not performance.
So you're just listening for the stress words, the weak words, the linking.
Yeah, you're teaching your ear and your mouth the pattern. You're giving your nervous system the time it needs to map the physical choreography of the sounds.
It's literally the biological process of myelination, right?
Right.
Firing the neurons slowly so the brain can wrap them in a myelin sheath. So you aren't just reciting words, you're hyper-analyzing the mechanics.
Precisely. You adjust your tongue placement, you monitor your breath, you repeat the slow, deliberate mapping until the muscular sequence feels secure.
Okay, so once it feels secure, we move to the N, the normal copy. This is where you put the audio back to normal speed.
Yes, and this introduces some cognitive friction. Your brain has to process the incoming audio and generate the outgoing motor commands simultaneously much faster now.
And you're probably going to mess up, right?
Oh, inevitably. You might miss a complicated consonant cluster or drop a word entirely, but during this phase, you must entirely abandon the expectation of perfection.
Because perfection is the enemy of rhythm. If you stop and rewind to fix one missing word, you destroy the exercise.
Exactly. Your primary task is to maintain the wave of the sentence. If you drop a syllable, just let it go. You're training your brain to feel the sentence as a single, cohesive unit of physical movement.
Okay, so you're riding the wave. And once you can do that, you hit step three, the C, the confident repeat. This is where you turn the audio off completely, right?
Yes. This step is non-negotiable. You say it entirely by yourself. Relying indefinitely on an audio track is a massive crutch.
Because you're just reacting. You're following a lead.
Right. Generating the speech independently transfers the pattern from just imitation to actual owned speech. You transition from an impressive parrot into an independent speaker.
It's like taking the training wheels off a bike. Or, actually, it's exactly like driving a car with a GPS system. You can follow the voice commands for weeks, right?
Yeah, and you think you know the route perfectly.
But the day your phone battery dies, you realize you have zero internal map of the city. You were just reacting to prompts. The confident repeat is the moment you turn off the GPS. You prove you can ride the bike yourself.
I love that analogy. It's so true.
So with the SNC method established, slow, normal, confident, we need to talk about how to implement this daily without getting overwhelmed. What's the ideal practice session look like?
The recommendation is a rigidly enforced 10-minute daily session.
Wait, only 10 minutes. If I really want to get fluent fast, shouldn't I be doing like an hour of this every day?
You would think so, but no. An hour of shadowing ignores the biological limits of your brain. Shadowing demands an extraordinarily high level of active focus.
Because you're analyzing audio and monitoring your own mouth at the same time.
Right. And your brain simply cannot sustain that level of intensity for extended periods. Attention fatigue sets in very quickly.
And when you get tired, your focus drifts. You stop noticing the subtle music of the language and slip back into just reading words.
Exactly. Practicing in a state of attention fatigue is highly destructive. If you do an hour of sloppy repetition, you are actively hardwiring those slurred, swallowed sounds into your muscle memory.
Wow, so you're actually getting worse. A concentrated 10-minute session guarantees every repetition is accurate. So how do we break down those 10 minutes?
It's very simple. 2 minutes of just listening to the clip, 3 minutes of the slow copy, 3 minutes of the normal copy, and 2 minutes of the confident repeat.
And you shouldn't try to fix everything at once during those 10 minutes, right? Like, don't try to fix vowels, pitch, and rhythm all at the same time.
No, the cognitive load is too heavy. You have to compartmentalize. Maybe focus entirely on hitting the stressed words on Monday. Then on Tuesday, focus strictly on the linking between words.
Okay, that makes it so much more manageable. But material selection is also crucial here. What kind of audio should we be using?
While selecting the wrong audio will derail the whole process. Learners often gravitate toward dramatic movie scenes or chaotic television shows.
Because they think that's how natives actually speak in the real world.
Right, but movie dialogue is engineered for entertainment. It's full of background noise, extreme slang, overlapping voices, and exaggerated emotion.
Yeah, you definitely do not want to map your articulatory muscles to the screaming panic of an action hero.
Definitely not. You need clear, sustainable models. Short podcasts, interviews with articulate professionals, or structured instructional videos are optimal.
Because the speech is natural, but it's supported by clear enunciation. Now, as you do this physical practice, something highly counterintuitive happens mentally, doesn't it? It changes your listening skills.
It completely transforms them. We think of shadowing as a speech production tool, but the most profound side effect is on listening comprehension.
Right, because the auditory cortex and the motor cortex are deeply interconnected.
Yes. When you repeatedly physically feel how a phrase moves in your own mouth, your brain tunes its auditory receptors to recognize that specific sound signature.
Fast speech stops sounding like a blur. Before this, a native speaker sounds like a continuous wall of indistinguishable noise. You can't find the boundaries between words.
But once you've physically constructed those phrases yourself, that wall of noise breaks apart. You transition from passive listening to active predictive processing.
Because your brain already knows where the acoustic signals are heading. It anticipates the trajectory of the sentence.
Exactly. And that drastically reduces the mental load required to participate in a conversation, which directly leads to the emotional benefits of the SNC loop.
Oh, we have to talk about the emotional side. The visceral fear of speaking a second language is huge. The brain often treats it as a literal survival threat, doesn't it?
It does. The fear of being misunderstood or sounding foolish triggers stress hormones. Your heart rate elevates, breathing gets shallow, and you literally lose access to your vocabulary.
Because the brain is in a state of panic. But the slow-fast loop functions as, like, systematic exposure therapy.
Yes, you are building an undeniable track record of mechanical success in a low-stakes environment. You isolate the phrase, slow it down, master it, and generate it independently.
So you're replacing neurological anxiety with solid muscle memory. When you're in a real conversation, the brain doesn't need to panic because the muscles already know the choreography.
Exactly. The reliance on muscle memory overrides the threat response. The goal of this method isn't to sound perfect. It's to sound free.
I love that. You achieve a state of psychological freedom. You can actually focus on the human interaction instead of the terror of producing sounds.
Which requires a fundamental shift in how we measure success. We really need to stop asking, do I sound native?
Yeah, that's such a heavy, vague question. It's an impossible standard that just generates anxiety.
It's totally unhelpful. Instead, you should be asking, do I sound smoother? Do I pause less? Am I maintaining the rhythm even when I stumble?
Right. Can the listener process my speech without straining? And tracking those specific improvements requires objective data. You can't rely on your memory of how you sounded last month.
No, the brain is terrible at remembering past performance. You need an immutable record.
Which brings us to the recording trick. It's the ultimate reality check. You record yourself reading a short paragraph on your phone naturally, and you just archive it.
Right, don't overanalyze it, just save it. Then commit to the 10-minute SNC loop every day for 30 days.
And at the end of the month, you pull up that original paragraph and record yourself reading it a second time. Listening to those tracks back to back provides undeniable proof of your progress.
You'll clearly hear the reduction in hesitation. You'll hear the stability in your pitch and the precision in your articulators.
Because fluency isn't born in one dramatic breakthrough moment, is it? It's built in tiny, highly focused repetitions. Smooth, confident speech is what people actually remember about you.
Absolutely. The physical capability breeds the psychological confidence.
Definitely. It makes me think about how elite professional actors train when they have to master a complex new dialect for a movie role. They don't just listen to the new accent at full speed and parrot it wildly.
No, they work with dialect coaches to learn the exact physical posture of the new mouth first.
Right, they study the biomechanics, where the tongue rests, how the jaw drops, completely divorced from speed or emotion until the physical shape is hardwired into their muscles. When you use the slow-fast loop, you are effectively acting as your own professional dialect coach. You're training the muscles so when the director calls action in your real life, your mouth already knows how to play the part. So the next time you practice English, ask yourself, are you just mindlessly repeating words or are you actually owning the rhythm of the language?